Not sure about you, but I am ready to do this, family. Welcome back. Welcome back. Back in the building on a beautiful and hopefully very, very productive Monday morning, broadcasting live from Cincinnati, Ohio. I'm at a secret location, family. Good morning to you. How was your weekend? If you hit the lottery, send me a little piece on the low. Hopefully you got a chance to relax, unplug from the work matrix, spend some time with the people you like to spend time with, right? Including yourself. Hopefully you got a workout in. Keep that body tight. You know what I'm saying? Keep that mind strong. You know what I'm saying? What's up with all my early risers out there? Entrepreneurs getting up early. You got to get up early to get ahead of the competition, fam. Get out the bed. Why are you sleeping? The work is not done. Get up. Get up. Get up. Call everybody. Tell your friends, tell your grandma and them, tell your uncles, your aunties, your cousins, your nieces, your nephews that the Nathan Ivy Show is on and hopefully better than ever. Good morning to you. On today's show, I want to talk about 3 stories that you might have missed. You might have missed these stories. People have been talking about this over the weekend, and I want to make sure that we talk about it here on the Nathan Ivy Show just a little bit. Also, we're scheduled to get a phone call from a Cincinnati school board member. You know, we love school board interviews. Yes, this is not over. This is not over. After our very popular series of school board interviews, I've decided to reach out again to all the school board members to see who's pissed off with your boy and who is not. That's what it comes down to. And we'll kick it off today with a conversation with a Cincinnati school board member, and I'll tell you who that is in just a couple of minutes. 513-873-7134. That is my number. Go ahead and lock me into your phone. I have no plans on that number changing anytime soon, family. So lock me in under Nathan Ivy Show. That way, when we talk about something, if not this morning, sometime in the near future, could be this week, that you are interested in and that you want to chime in on, you don't have to what's the number? You already got it. It ain't changing. 873-7134. That's my number. That is my number. If you want to contact me off show hours, you can use that number. I will answer, generally speaking. Do business with that number. Good morning to you. Good morning to you. Good morning to you. So from left to right, you got Kurt Franklin. Everybody's been talking about him and his estranged son and the viral videos that have gone out, and looks like just a big old family mess. You got Breonna Taylor, of course, the 1-year anniversary of Breonna Taylor's death. My question is very simple. What has changed? Have we moved the needle in the right direction a year later after Breonna Taylor's death? I want to know what you think about it. I'm talking about in Louisville, in Kentucky, in Cincinnati, in Ohio, and wherever you live at. Because I'm not really sure. I'm not sure I see much movement. We'll discuss. And then a very, very tragic story of the sister in the middle there. That's gone viral. She got into a confrontation with police. And let's just say it ended very, very badly. If you pay attention to it, if you really look at it, you can actually see the prongs. I think that's what they're called. The barbs, prongs, projectiles, whatever they're called, that are a part of a taser. You can actually see them actually hanging out of her leg there. She actually just been tased. That's a very tragic story. If you don't know the end of that story or what happened with that, I'll share with you in just a couple of minutes. Let me take it from the top, family. 513-873-7134. That will give you access to the last honest place in Cincinnati media. I think that we have lived up to that moniker. This is the last honest place in Cincinnati media. I don't know. I ain't issuing on nobody else. I support everybody. The only thing I know is what we do here. Right here with us, right now on this show, we keep it 100. Period, across the board. This is the infamous Chop Shop. And all I can say is that the Choppers have earned their name. Believe me, they have earned their name. Plus, I got a smattering of other topics that may or may not be something that's top of mind to you, but I think they're kind of interesting. I want to talk with you about it this morning. All right, so buckle up, get ready. It's the Nathan Ivey Show. We'll get started very, very quickly, family. I just want to give you some time to like and in particular share today's show.
NathanIvey.com. Mr. Ivy know the show must go on. And far as Cincinnati, man, I put on. Tunes made another flame beat for me to cook on. Raised arms, close fists, yeah, too strong. Team AI, chop it up at the chop shop. Top notch with the king flow, the hot shot. Cop squats in, listen to the real. Jumping like hopscotch, nobody harder than, oh, no, think not. Not only citywide, but nationwide. Superlative, keep it locked like them Haitian guys. Put the truth in the airways, we talk about it. Brand new like the templates, let's be about it. Who got the info by the AM? John will be the rapper, got them jamming when they play him. Staying in my lane, they ain't gotta okay him. Who the host with the scoop? Yeah, they gon' say him. Ivy, so superlative like a bag of Drippos. Show you where the bricks at, Cincinnati Reds at. One time where my people at. Team NI, where my people at. It's the 5-1-3, yeah, you know the flow. What's the word, Nate? Let them know the show. One time where my people at. Team NI, where my people at.
right, good morning, everybody. Let's get straight into it, shall we? I think we waited long enough. Good morning, good morning. How are you? Hope you're doing well, wherever you might be in the world. Nate Ivy with you. Good morning. How are you? Let's get into it, shall we? On today's show, I want to talk about numerous things, but at the top of the hour, I want to talk about 3 stories that you might have missed. And we've got a special guest scheduled to give us a call this morning, member of the school board, and that's at 8:30 a.m. approximately. Okay, so a little over 30 minutes from now. And this guest is just scheduled to be with us for maybe 15, 20, maybe even 30 minutes up until 9 a.m. this morning. So looking forward to that. So you have any school board related questions, this could be an opportunity to get those questions answered and get them in this morning. Okay. Good morning to you. Good morning. How are you? Hope you're doing well. Please take a second to like and share today's show. How was your weekend? Let's kick it off right there, family. How was your weekend? Was it a good weekend? Was it a great weekend? Did you get a chance to spend time with your family over the weekend? What was it? Let me know. Let me know. Did you get a good workout in over the weekend? You make some money over the weekend? We love money. As adults with responsibilities, we love the checks. We love bring the checks in. We love the checks, but how are you? Hope you're doing well. Did you watch the Grammys last night? I did not. I do know everybody was socially distancing. Smart. Very, very smart. Where my Texas people at? I know we got at least a couple of choppers that chime in from Texas. This was the first weekend that 100% of the businesses were open in Texas. Did you go out? How are things down in Texas? Everyone's watching. Hopefully things go well. Good morning to you. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Yes. We are ready to do it. Good morning, everybody. Hope you're doing well again. I love being one of the first people, if not the first person in your media experience, because I know how it is. People jump around. You might check out this show. Then when we go off, you might check out another show. You might have 3 or 4 shows throughout the day that you listen to or that you watch. That's great. That's absolutely great. Good morning, everyone. Hopefully you're doing well. Hopefully you are doing well. So how many people have been paying attention to this Kirk Franklin story? Apparently Kirk Franklin has an estranged son. Which I'm like, wow, that's a hell of a thing. Raise your hand if you have an estranged child. I looked at the word estranged, and it means, or this is what I'm reading, no longer close or affectionate to someone. And that's a shame. That's a shame that you would have an estranged anything. But as a man, especially an estranged child. And if you missed it, let me back up here because a lot of folks don't know who Kirk Franklin is. Kirk Franklin is like a super, super huge gospel star. I don't know if he's like the top of the charts right now because I don't follow gospel music like that, although I do enjoy inspirational music. And Kirk's been around since I was in college, man. Like he was big back in the 90s. I'm not sure how big he is right now, but he's pretty famous. And he's been in the media over the years for a lot of different things. Like people know Kirk. One of my favorite, or should I say funniest, and it's just an irreverent type of funny. You more than likely are not going to find this funny, but I've got a different sense of humor. But one of the funniest Kirk Franklin media moments to me is when he went on an Oprah Winfrey show and admitted that he had a pornography addiction. And he was telling Oprah the story. I never forget, it was so hilarious, about how, he got his courage up, put all his pornography in a cardboard box, and then drove down to like a strip mall. And then like behind the mall, they had a dumpster. He threw the pornography, the whole box of his tapes and whatever he was into the trash. He went home. And then the next later, he ended up driving back out and then fishing through the trash and grabbing it out. I'm like, wow, that's a very real story. And just because you do gospel music or inspirational stuff, it doesn't mean you stop being human, right? You're still a human being. You're no better. You're not worse. You do gospel. You know what I'm saying? I learned that a long time ago. Long time ago. Just because, you're in the church, or just because and again, 2 things can be true at the same time. You can love God. You can fear God, whatever the correct way of putting it is, depending on how, it hits your heart and your head. and you can still be a tragically flawed human. But Franklin, his oldest son is named Carrion. And I don't know the details. Maybe you can help me out on this, family, because I suspect there's people out there that have more information than I do. But from what I'm reading, his son is from a previous relationship. Like, he and his wife have a couple of kids. This is his oldest child. I think his son is like 30, 31 years old, from a previous relationship. Like, I don't know if he was married to that woman and they had a child, or if they was kicking it and had a kid, because it makes a difference. It makes a difference. Does anybody know? Anybody know the difference there? Was he married to the mother of his son, Carrion? It makes a difference on how I process it. Somebody writes, nope, with the Grammys. Deshauna writes, good morning, everyone. Where did our warm weather blank something? It's cold. It was cold over the weekend, at least in the morning anyway. I was out getting a walk in with the wifey, actually, which is always a great. She doesn't always have the time to get it in at the same time that I do. So it was great to spend a little time with her. I spent the weekend resting, preparing for my new arrival. Is that right? What's up? Hey, what's up? Hey, what's up, Nikita? We got to catch back up. If that is the right Nikita, I don't want. She might be like, "What you fucking? I ain't thought. What you mean catch up?" If that is the right Nikita, I can't see that well from the image. Okay, that's great to hear. New arrival, huh? Okay, happy times, happy times. Beautiful, beautiful. But does anybody know, was Kurt Franklin married to the mother of his oldest son, Carrion? So his son basically secretly taped a really, really, back and forth between himself and his father, Kurt Franklin. And in the audio, in the video, you can actually hear Kurt Franklin referring to his son. I'm going to curse a little bit this morning, so I'm going to give you a little heads up, because I want to make sure we talk about the show. We talk about these topics in the way they need to be talked about. So I'm going to use some extreme language. But in the video, you can hear Kurt Franklin referring to his son as bitch ass. And basically tells him, I'm going to put some foot in that bitch ass, something like that. Your skinny ass, something like that. And I don't know. I mean, I've got a son. I've got a daughter. My wife and I have a son and daughter together. And I'm just wondering, like, I'm trying to think of a scenario in which I would refer to my son as bitch ass. You know what I'm saying? Now, what makes this whole situation a little bit into the world of ridiculous is that we're talking about a 31-year-old child, a 30-year-old child. This is not a child. This is a grown. At 30, you're real grown. You're real grown. So it seems a bit immature. Some people have criticized Kurt Franklin and the way he dealt with it. Other people said, well, I get frustrated too. Everybody gets frustrated. But how you deal with stuff in that frustration says something about you. It's the same way I felt about Melanie Bates. Like, I understand you got frustrated, but everybody's frustrated. How you deal with these frustrating times says a lot about you. And I said the same thing about Kurt Franklin. You know, he's a man of God. He's a man of patience. I mean, all these big time evangelists and folks want God to be patient with them. You know, y'all just keep sinning and then praying, hoping that God will forgive you. So when the shoe's on the other foot and you're losing patience with your child, because, you know, a lot of Christians say that, you know, God is the Father, Christ is the Father, they are the child of Christ. So same thing. So there's got to be some consistency there between what you say and what you do. As a father, so for me, I don't use the term, if I can't see a scenario when I'm going to refer to my son as bitch ass. I've used it before. All the time with men. Usually I will say that to another man. Like, if I say that to another man, typically I'm trying to make you get it. I'm trying to provoke you. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I call another man a bitch ass to his face, or even on the phone, I'm trying to provoke you. I'm trying to provoke you into a fight. I'm trying to make you mad so you can do something so I can do other things to you. That's typically how I would look at it. You know what I'm saying? To me, that's just like an ultimate sign of disrespect, man to man. That's just me. I'm struggling with this. I thought about it over the last 24 hours. Like, I can't see a scenario Like, let's say my son takes a turn for the work and he becomes super difficult for me and my wife. I mean, which is possible, but bitch ass. Even at 30, I can't see myself saying that to my son. Now, I don't know the experiences that he's had with his son. In the video, and I'm prepared to play it for you this morning, in which he apologized, Kirk Franklin said that, essentially he's had a bad relationship with his own son. That's essentially what he said. They've had a bad relationship. And I'm wondering, this is just me, I don't know the details, but I'm wondering if the bad relationship stems from the relationship that he had with Carry-On's mother. Like I said, I made this observation a long time ago, but too many of these men are reckless with their reproductive abilities. You out here having kids with all these different women, you can't possibly be a dad in the household for all these different kids. And in some cases, even two different households. This happens all the time where you have a situation where a man and a woman will have sex, a child is born into the world, they don't have any kind of relationship, they have no desire to be together whatsoever, they're not going to get married, they probably don't even like each other now. And then the man goes on and has another relationship with a woman, has kids with her, maybe marries her. Now, in a situation like that, you got two households. You got one man that's the father of kids in two different households. And what I've seen is far too often, the kid that doesn't have the father in the household lose out. That's what I've seen. Because you can't be in two places at the same time. You can be a dad to a kid you're not in the household with. We get that. But it ain't the same. It's nowhere near the same as being the father in the kids of the household, and that's where your clothes are. That's where your kids are. That's where all your belongings are. That's where you live. That's a whole different situation. There are some men who know how to balance that. But what I've seen in a lot of cases is the kids that are in the household end up winning out. They end up winning out because of proximity. They end up winning out because maybe the mother is somewhat of an influence in that scenario. That's what I end up seeing over and over again. And I blame the men. I blame the fathers. I blame the people that are bringing the kids into the world for the bad relationships, the hurt feelings, and everything that bad that happens afterwards. So I don't know if that's what happened with Kirk Franklin, but that's what I'm asking. Like, you fathered this child with this woman. I don't know if they were married or not, but let's say for the sake of conversation, they were not married. You split with her. You go get another family. The new kids get all the attention. They get all the love, all the Christmas gifts. They with dad every single day. And so the other kid, this resentment grows. They become, it becomes estranged. And if that's the case with Kirk Franklin, and that is in any way like the origins of his relationship with his son's Carry-On, I blame Kirk Franklin. I blame him. Listen, family, I'm just different. Like, you show me a messed up kid, and whatever that means, and I'm gonna say 7 to 8 times out of 10, it's the parents' fault through their neglect, or the parents have their own issues, or the parents themselves can't get along, so it trickles down on the kids. I blame the parents, and as a man, I speak from a male perspective, I blame the men. Because men have total control over your reproductive organs and your reproductive abilities. And what I've seen is in too many cases, men are too cavalier, too carefree, too I don't give a damn about dropping sperm all over the city, all over the state. You think you was Tupac? You're too short. You're not. And then you got these kids everywhere, and you can't possibly be in two places at the same time. And so the kids end up suffering. That's how I look at it. I don't know if that's the case in with this situation with Kirk Franklin. I'm asking. Maybe you can tell me that. I don't know. Was he married to the mother? They break up. Now the relationship goes straight down to hell. I'm just saying. I say this to men all the time. You have 100% control over your reproductive organs. Fucking use it. You got it. Be responsible. Simple as that. I mean, period. I don't know what else to say. I'm sick and tired of seeing these stories over and over again. You know what I'm saying? You ain't got to have sex with every fucking woman you see. You don't. I know you want to. Believe me, I understand. But you don't have to. You know what I'm saying? And when you do, there's levels to it. I'll say it again. If you one of these dudes, get a vasectomy. You can have all the sexual fun you want. And you're not bringing no kids into the world. You ain't got to worry about that part of it. And you still got to worry about STDs and STIs and everything that goes into those kind of relationships. But you ain't got to worry about that part. But too many of these men out here just want to want to throw it everywhere. I'm gonna throw it everywhere, with no regard as to what will happen in the future, no regard as to who's gonna be impacted, no regard as to how the child's gonna be impacted. It's just you hit a nut. So I guess the nut justifies the ends justifies the means, right? No, that's irresponsible. No. Maurice writes, I was one of those children who grew up without his father. My siblings had their father. That's tough. That's a real tough situation. Then, like, you looking at your dad and he's got these other kids and he got this whole life together. And now with Instagram and social media, you can kind of get a window into people's lives. It's like, damn, he getting everything. They got everything I'm supposed to get. I totally understand it. I totally understand that. So I don't know if that's what's up with Kirk Franklin, but that's kind of like, that's the thoughts that came to me when I saw it. Like, okay, so this is your oldest child. You had a relationship with his mom. Why didn't y'all stay together? I'm not saying you got to, because sometimes you might have the best intentions. It just don't work out. I get it. You leave that relationship, start a whole new family, and now your son is just left out there looking through the window like, damn, I wish that was my life. I wish I had that. Again, it's the things that humans do. Humans worse than COVID. But I'm just saying, Ryan writes, it takes two to tango, Nate. You're right. But I'm talking as a man, I'm talking to men. I'll let the ladies talk to the ladies, or maybe I'll circle around one day and talk about the women. But as a man, I'm talking to men. And I'm saying this again. We have to be better in today's world. We know what the long-term effects of something like that is. Don't act like you don't know. We already know. We just seen all the studies. You saw Baby Boy. You know what the long-term effect of not having a father in the household can do. What the fuck you doing? What you doing? It's 2020. It's 2021. You don't know this? I mean, come on now. We gotta be a bit more responsible with our sperm. I'm just saying. You know, men have to be more responsible with our sperm. Who we reproducing with. That's just where I'm at with it. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know if that's what happened with Kirk, but if it is, I can understand it. So Kirk went on, I think this is Instagram he went on, and he tried to tell everybody, like, look, you know, he apologized. I don't even know if it's necessary for him to apologize, but that's what he did. Would you like to see? I got the video for you. Here's the apology video. We're going to do it backwards. I'm going to play the apology video for you first. All right, let me see, make sure I got everything queued up. All right, check this out.
Sincerely sorry to all of you. I sincerely apologize. I want you to know as a father that during that conversation, I called the family therapist and got that therapist on the phone to try to help. He never played that part of the recording. I'm not perfect. I'm human and I'm going to make mistakes and I'm trying to get it right. Please keep me and my family in your prayers. Many of you know I have an older son named Carrion Franklin. In May, he'll be 33. For many years, we have had a toxic relationship with him as a family. We've tried for many years through counseling, through therapy, to try to rectify this private family matter. Recently, my son and I had an argument that he chose to record. I felt extremely disrespected in that conversation and I lost my temper. And I said words that are not appropriate. And I'm sincerely sorry to all of you. I sincerely apologize.
Why is he apologizing? You don't have to apologize to me, B.
During that conversation,
you should be apologizing to your son. You called your son a bitch ass. Like, what father refers to his son as a... I just can't think of a scenario. I mean, I'm not saying that there isn't a scenario in which I'm his father. I'm supposed to check my son. I'm not saying there isn't a scenario where I'm going to have to grab his ass up. I can see it coming already. He gonna get that work. It is what it is, but all in love. But bitch ass, that's something I reserve for men who I'm trying to provoke into some kind of physical altercation. That's what I use that for. Am I wrong, fellas? Bitch ass? That seems a little tough, but okay. Everybody parents different. 33, y'all still got issues at 33. Why, Kirk? Tell us more so we can learn. Tell us more. Why are you estranged? Estranged, why? I just don't get it. I just don't understand. Okay, I just don't understand. If you're just tuning in, we're talking about three stories, and I'm on the first one. And listen, at 8:30 a.m., I'm scheduled to have an interview with a member of the school board, and we're going to chop it up on the school board's recent decision. And just so you know, I was very intentional about reaching out to all the school board members. I want to talk to everybody. I think it's important to allow people to speak for themselves. And now I'm going to circle back around and reach out again. And I think it's going to be interesting to see which of the school board members responds. It'll be yet another test of their character, because I can see how some of them may have an issue with some of my comments, and then, some of the flows and commentary on this show. But it'll be interesting to see. And I will tell you. But our first interview will be today in about 16 minutes. Okay, and I'll let you know who that is as we get closer to the interview. So stick around for that. So as we're engaging in this conversation, we may have to put it on hold and then come back to it at 9 a.m. this morning, okay? All right, we may have to do that this morning. Speaking of doing things this morning, this would be a good service to yourself. There's a link in today's description where you can download a free 142-page ebook and also get yourself signed up for 30 minutes of coaching. All you have to do is go over to renewcommunitychurch.org. This is a part of the Focus 2021 series. And again, don't take this opportunity lightly, family. I've heard great things about professional coaches. I've heard great things about the benefits of having a professional coach. And so this could give you a window into a resource or a tool that you could put in place moving into the future. But again, it's called the Focus 2021 series. My friends over at renewcommunitychurch.org are kicking this off here in the beginning of 2021. And they want to offer you a free 142-page ebook. And as I said, along with that, 30 minutes of professional coaching. Now, this could be the beginning of a whole new thing for you. I've heard great things about it. I've heard great things about professional coaching. So check it out. Don't let this opportunity pass you by. All right. So as I said, that's at 8:30 this morning. It'll break up the conversation a bit, but I still have some questions. And it's, as we doing it right now, I think it's at March 31st, early April. All 100% of CPS is going to be back 5 days a week. That means that Walnut Hills, and there's some question about Walnut Hills getting options that other schools have not. Why? What are they? That means that if you're Walnut Hills parents, that means you're going from 100% virtual to 5 days a week. But you do have options. So we'll talk about that to make sure you know what's going on. And I just want to pick the brain of all the school board members. I think that's very, very important because... No, I'm good. Thank you. Some tea, maybe. Thank you. It's a wifey. Ask me, do I need anything? And where was I? So with the school board, they are going back. There's still some question marks about it, but as I've been telling people, get prepared for this. Get your bodies ready, get your families ready, come up with your routines, get your mask in place, figure out what your protocol is going to be, because this is going to happen. This is going to happen. What do you think? But let me circle back around and talk about Kirk again. I don't think an apology was necessary to the public. If anybody he should be apologizing to, it should be his son. That's just me. Am I wrong in that? You don't owe me an apology. I'm not your son. You didn't bring me into the world and didn't abandon me. So I've got the video of Kirk's, statement. Would you like to hear it? Like, this is the video in which Kirk is going super hard and saying a bunch of things that He just apologized for. There is extreme language in this. I want to play this so you have the proper context. Check this out. We'll discuss on the other side.
Up a piece of paper. Okay, if you think I'm reading this paper, let me say it like this. When your bitch ass starts disrespecting, you need to get your skinny motherfucking ass back out the goddamn way before I put my foot in your ass. Because I dare you. I dare you. I dare you. I dare you. Shut the fuck up. I'm old. I will punch your neck, nigga. Don't you ever disrespect me.
I did it. He just hung up the phone. I'll break your neck. Is that a threat?
You know what? I did a little checking. Apparently back in like 2018, the same man, Carry On Franklin, he hit the media saying that his father was trying to kill him. So I don't know, part of me, I don't know there's some mental illness, part of me, stuff going on. I don't know that. I wish them all the best in that situation, but Kirk just lost his temper. And all I'm saying is that you can't have it both ways. You can't get respect for being a man of God and everything that comes with that. But then when a situation happens and you step out of that image that you crafted yourself as a man of God, that you don't get criticized for. You can't have it both ways. You can't get the props for being a man of God, but you don't get the criticisms for when you step outside of what we expect from a man of God. You got to take both. You got to take both. I read a lot of comments and some people are like, oh, well, he's human. Yeah, he is human. You're right. Absolutely, 100%. But that works both ways. And again, as a father, I'm thinking, bitch ass. So it was some stuff in there that if my son disrespected me, listen, do you want me to come over there and you can tell this to your father's face? But bitch ass, I just can't see it. Am I wrong on that? Am I hanging on to the wrong things there? That just seems to be another level of just disrespect that I can't see doing that with my children. I can't see me saying that to my son at any point. I don't care what he's done. That's just me. Now, is that because I'm in a privileged position where I haven't been pushed by my son to that point, so I just don't understand? Are there any fathers out there, and maybe you have grown children, maybe you can share? As your son gets older, he a man now, and so now you got to come at him like he's a man. Again, I like to hear that. I love to hear your thoughts on it. Andrea writes, good morning, Nate and the family. Good morning to you. Brandy writes, good morning. Good morning, Brandy. April writes, peace and blessings to all. Jerome is in the house. He writes, good morning, Nate and Choppers. Daryl writes, good morning, Nate and Choppers. Lemmy writes, good morning. Tiffany's in the house. She writes, good morning. Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday to you. Great to be alive. Roy writes, good morning, everyone. Iona writes, good morning, Nathan, and the one and only Choppers. Absolutely. Sheila writes, good morning, Nate and Choppers. Roy writes, no, nothing's changed. Police unions across the country continue to fight against the change. That's right. When it comes to Breonna Taylor, you're absolutely right about that. 1 year anniversary. And the Republicans down in in Kentucky, they celebrated it by giving their support to a bill that would criminalize people that would basically taunt or criticize police officers face to face. That's how they celebrated it. Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. Collagen in here? Cool. You got to put that collagen. You got to put the grass-fed collagen in your tea. It's good for you, especially when you get over 40. It's great for you. Brian writes, morning. Daryl writes, where can I get that track? What track is this? You mean this track right here? This track? I got that track off of YouTube. Hit me up, Daryl. I'll tell you exactly where it is. You can check it out for yourself. Def writes, good morning, all. Good morning to you. Daryl writes, nope to the Grammys. The family, I was doing other stuff last night. The family was watching it. The Grammys, I know they did WAP, Wet Ass. See, they performed that live at the Grammys. I saw that Trevor Noah was doing it. I'm sure he did a great job. Everybody was socially distancing. Beyonce's won more Grammys than any other woman. I think it's like 28, 29. I thought that her and Jay-Z looked super dope, straight from Wakanda with the masks on and all. I'm loving the mask. I think it kind of adds to the mystery of everything. It makes everybody look better. You know what I'm saying? That's what I think, but that's just me. That's just me. Deshauna writes, good morning, Nathan. I think I read that already. Tiff writes, good morning, all. Good morning to you. Dee Dee writes, good morning, good people. Good morning to you. She writes, yes, we do, Nate. I'm due in about 2 weeks. Okay, it is the right Nikita. Okay, I didn't know that. Okay, well, congratulations. I wish you nothing but a healthy, birth. And I hope that your child, you having a son or a daughter, hope they are healthy. And I hope that you recover very, very healthy as well. Deshauna writes, sorry, using Google Voice. I'm driving. It's all good. Sister Irish writes, good morning. Great people. Good to see you. Terrence Wright, Kirk said, don't let the tight suit fool you. Yeah, I mean, whoo. Man. Kirk went in on his son. I just can't. It's just some things I just can't see doing. I'm just sorry. It's just me. Linda writes, good morning. Tiff writes, I haven't seen a video nor anything about the story. The apology was to his fans or to his son's family. The apology seemed to be to his fans. And I'm like, if you're a Kirk Franklin fan, you didn't need no apology. Apology for what? And he didn't even really apologize, in my opinion, the way I think he should have, but that's just me. Brian writes, I agree with how Kirk handled it. In that moment, that's what came to mind. His son is 30 plus. He could have been 18. He handled it how he did. No apology needed. So Brian, you telling me after listening to Kirk Franklin that it's completely okay with you with him referring to his son as a bitch ass. Now, bitch ass is fighting words for any man. You walk up to most men and you call them a bitch ass to their face. And those are fighting words. I mean, it's just a certain level of disrespect. You know what I'm saying? There's a certain level of disrespect. I'm just saying. For the sake of the conversation. Jay writes, I feel you, Nate. I don't play that word bitch or something. I got called that and it's on. We got to see each other. That's my usage of it. Dee writes, baby, listen, you will have plenty of opportunities. Kids will take you there. What it says about him is he is a motherfucking parrot. Oh, it just means you. Okay. Kids will take you there. I can't say you're wrong. You're right. I mean, being a parent is a very, very, very difficult thing because you're teaching and growing and raising another human being. And then human being, there's nothing more ungrateful than the human child. There's no more ungrateful, living being on planet Earth than the human child. You raise these kids, do all these sacrifices for these kids. These kids will turn around, act like you didn't do nothing. Ooh, hot. Ooh. Not good. They'll act like you didn't do nothing. Man. Do I still have a lip? Okay, I think so. Man. Derek writes, not necessarily. There could be hostility from years of resentment, how he treats his current children and provides for them as opposed to what he received when he was a child. I agree. That's the reason why it's not ideal to be having kids in different households because it's bad for the kid. But humans are so selfish these days that we've convinced ourselves that we can raise kids in not the best environment and still give them everything that they want. I mean, you can't do everything. You got kids in the house with your current wife. You got a kid over here with a woman you used to kick it with. Which kids are going to get more to love? Which kids are going to get more daddy's attention? Which kids are going to get more of daddy? The kids in the house. There's no way around that. And again, I've seen some men that juggle it pretty as good as you can do it. There are some men who juggle it as good as it can be juggled. But generally speaking, at some point you're gonna drop the ball, and that ball is the kids that are not outside the house, that are outside the house. It happens every single time. Danita writes, "Good morning, all. Let's make it a marvelous Monday." I like that. Speaking of marvelous, did you see that Marvelous Marvin Hagler passed away? I was a big fan of Marvelous Marvin Hagler when I was growing up. Like, the men in my life were really into boxing when I was a kid, like in the 70s and 80s. The men in my life loved boxing. So I was into boxing. They were watching my uncle, my father, my grandfather. They was watching boxing. Boxing was really, really big to them. And one of my favorite boxers of all time, I don't know what it was about Marvelous Marvin Hagler. I just liked his style, was Marvelous Marvin Hagler. But he passed away at 66 years old. 66 years old. R.I.P. Rest in power to the fallen king. Danita writes, "Children are born a blank slate and become what their parents write in them." Absolutely. Absolutely. Janine writes, "Good morning, Nathan and the Choppers." Let me see. His son could be dealing with some mental illness, though. You never know. Terrence writes, to not Frank, him recording his father encounter, knowing the public scrutiny Kirk will be subject to, is a bitch-ass move. I don't think it's a bitch-ass move, Terrence. I disagree with you, okay? And I say that because I wouldn't say that's a bitch-ass move. I mean, that's his father. And the way I'm looking at it is, yeah, he knows his father is public. So why would he do that? Well, either there's some mental and emotional illness going on, or maybe a couple things. So maybe it's that. Or maybe this is sort of like a desperate attempt to get some kind of attention, or a desperate attempt to try to hurt his father. Now, that begs the question, why would a son try to publicly hurt his father? And the only thing I can come up to is it must be some real pain there. This boy, 30 years old, this young man, or however you want, this man has some real pain to the point where now we live in a social media age and he feels like, oh, I'm going to show you, Dad. I mean, it's just a sad situation all the way around, man. I wish Kirk the best in this. I hope it all gets resolved. I really, really do. It's just a really bad situation right there. But again, my problem is how he talked to his son. The whole bitch ass thing. I mean, for whatever reason, I can't get past that. It could just be me. I fully admit it. I just could be on something. But I got a problem with that. I look at my little boy, and I just can't. I could see him causing, if you want to call it problems or being difficult or whatever as he gets older. That's just going to be children. I was like that myself. You ask Chairman Mom, she'll tell you, boy, like, woo, my oldest, woo, I didn't think we was going to make it. It is what it is. But bitch ass, nah. Caller writes, he had the son when he was a kid himself. Hey, good morning to you, Carla. Good to see you. Is that right? Courtney writes, come on, people. Come on, preach on fatherhood. Can I give you the father on my son's phone number? Nah, it's not worth it. I'm just saying. If men are supposed to be leaders, then we have to lead. And part of leadership is sacrifice. Part of leadership is sacrifice and discipline. And I just keep seeing it over and over again. Men not sacrificing and not displaying discipline. You know what I'm saying? But again, he was younger then, but still, so what? It don't matter. It don't matter. You was old enough to bring a child into this world. You got to stand up and man up. So what am I saying? Am I saying that, like, if you have a child with a woman, you have to be with that woman no matter what? Let's say it's a bad relationship and that you can't go on to have another relationship. I'm not necessarily saying that. I'm not necessarily saying that. What I'm saying is that we got to be conscious as men about who we reproduce with. And we got to be conscious and think about the long-term effects of what those decisions, what that night of pleasure or that 10 minutes of pleasure or that 30 seconds of pleasure, depending on the dude, is really going to bring to everybody. That's all I'm saying. Because look at what's happening with Kirk right now. And again, I don't know. I'm just asking, is this the result of what we just discussed? I don't know. You tell me. But let's go to the phones. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Hey, good morning, Nate. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great, brother. Who am I speaking with?
Doing good. This is Terrence.
Hey, what's up, Terrence? I didn't catch your voice, man.
How
Welcome.
you doing? It's all good. Thanks for having me. I'm listening to this conversation about Kurt Franklin and his son. I have children. I have a 16-year-old son, a 13-year-old son, and I've never had to go there with my kids. One, currently at their age, and I can understand the lens of which you're, looking at the situation with your young Buddha. It's not particularly age appropriate to engage in your teenage kids in such a way using that type of terminology. Now, where I defer, where I disagree with you at is, people saying, yeah, it's, son's in his 30s. He's not a boy, he's a young man, and that's true. And we got to think about the dynamics of the situation. Obviously, you're bringing up, parental involvement based upon his, the father's relationships. That's one thing. But what I will say is, respectively, thinking about my dad and me. When I do something my dad disagrees with, sometimes we do get into our quarrels. Are they always harsh? No. They're typically appropriate. Has Dad not ever debloused me to the point where I felt like, hey, you kind of crossed the line, like, hey, I messed up, but you don't have to really go there with me on this. I'll be lying if I said it's never happened, but, I look at it, he's grooming his son to be engaged with the outside world. Calling somebody a bitch ass nigga, excuse the expression, that's pulling somebody's card. Now, how would his son react to that in the streets? Would he take that word that he will receive and then escalate it to a physical altercation to where somebody can, be harmed? In some sense, I would say, and this is just my opinion of it, his dad is grooming him with some of the things that, these young men encounter out here in the real world nowadays. Would I have approached the situation the same way as Mr. Franklin? Maybe not. I don't know the particulars of what made him invoke such strong words, but I think one of the things we also have to be mindful of, again, is, this is all a part of that grooming process of young man development. He's not beating him. He's not whooping him. It's not like he's providing him some type of lifestyle where this young man can't be successful at any opportunity he puts before himself. It's none of those things. It's just this one moment in time. And I think we need to actually, again, look at the overall impact in terms of what, that situation will bring to that young man's life. That's what I got.
All right, Terrence, thanks for the call, man. Appreciate it.
Hey, thanks. I appreciate it.
Yeah, most definitely. That's Terrence Grasson, everybody. That's a man who I think is, I'll say it again, I think he has the potential to do great things for our community as an elected official. We'll see what happens. We'll be watching. So Terrence says this is a part of the maturation process. He feels like, he's just, Kurt Franklin was just preparing his son for a big old mean world. Because the world is mean. You know that. Nobody really cares. Hold on. Let me call. I'm scheduled to speak with a school board member, and I'm going to give them a call right now, actually.
Hello.
Hi, is this Mike?
Yes.
Hey, it's Nathan, Mike. How you doing?
Hi. Good. How are you doing, man?
Hey, I'm doing great. We got Mike Moroski with us, everybody. Hey, listen, thanks for taking some time and talking with me this morning. I appreciate it.
No problem. My pleasure. Always a pleasure to be on with you, Nathan.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Well, man,
Yeah,
since
man.
the last time we talked, man, wow,
Hmm.
a lot has happened. A lot has happened.
Mm-hmm.
But let's talk about the most recent thing, and that is the decision by the school board, a 4-3 decision for all of CPS to return to 5 days a week in person learning. And what I'm looking for
Mm-hmm.
here on some levels is just the facts, is making sure that we're reinforcing what are the facts, what can parents and the community expect.
Mm-hmm.
So what was your vote in that 4-3 decision? Tell us why, and then tell us just some of the details about what's going to happen and when.
Sure. So my vote was no, as it has been from the get-go when we're discussing sending students back or even going to the blended model, which I find to be worse for education than 100% virtual because it's so disruptive. But we've talked about that before. I talk about it again. But either way, where we are is 4-3 vote. I voted no. I voted no for a whole host of reasons, not the least of which is I still have tremendous concern about the virus and the 3 variants that have made their way to the United States, and that we know at least a couple of the variants. I believe the British one and the South African one have been identified in Hamilton County. And my biggest concern is when you talk to the experts like Dr. Grant Mussman at Cincinnati Health Department, and you ask pointed questions, as I have, regarding do we have any indication what the long-term effects are in kids with this virus? Because we know with polio back in the day, there were a lot of adverse impacts on the children at the time when they grew up. So you and I may be long gone, and these kids may be dealing with health concerns when they're 40, 50, 60 years old that we don't even know about. And when I ask these questions, the answer from the experts is always, we don't know. And that's, I have a hard time gambling with that kind of response. The second is when we ask the experts, what do we know about these new strains, impact on children, et cetera? The answer is, we don't know. So again, that's just too much. I don't like rolling the dice with that many I don't knows. And so I have the concerns, the public health piece. You may have seen the news that over the course of the past couple weeks, COVID cases in schools have doubled. Now, what happened a couple weeks ago? The governor's arbitrary March 1st date that kids had to be in school. I don't think that's a coincidence. Perhaps it is. I don't think it is. It seems to stand to reason that if cases have doubled in the past 2 weeks, coinciding with this arbitrary get back to school date, it cause for pause again for me. Cincinnati Public also has more COVID cases than any other district in the entire state as of, I don't know, yesterday, day before. So these are all things that are concerning to me. And I understand that people want to have their kids back in school. I respect that. And then I'm going to wrap up here. I've been talking a lot, but the last piece is, pedagogically speaking, I was a teacher for 10 years and an assistant principal. So my concern is the public health is the one thing I think about. The other, of course, is just education and learning and a kid's ability to learn, which is why I've had problems with blended from the get-go. So I understand, families want kids back. I understand the benefits of being back too. But I would like to be able to offer a choice for people who don't want to go back. And as of now, this is a big part of the reason I voted no. As of now, it is not possible to offer a real choice to families who want to keep their children home. So in the fall, we will be able to offer live streaming from a kid's classroom. They can stay home, see their teacher 5 days a week. To me, that's a real choice. Right now, we're giving people the illusion of choice, in my opinion, which I've said in public session numerous times. I refer to the specter of choice that we're giving families because you're telling them you may be at a school with a specialized career track, say like at a West High with their culinary program, or you might be at a Montessori school, or you might be at a Walnut and have 100 AP classes. And we're saying go to CDA or go to Schoology and download worksheets for 5 days. That's not a real choice. That's asking people who have health concerns, and we know, I don't need to tell you this, We know this disease, like every disease and like everything in America, is disproportionately impacting the Black community, many of whom are afraid to go back into school because of this virus. And we're telling people that you can stay home and download worksheets while these people go back to school. And I have equity concerns with that. And so there's the educational, the equity, the public health, is why I voted no. But I'll pause. I never got to the logistics, and I'm happy to talk about that, but I'll pause if you have any follow-up.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, but yeah, I'm really concerned about, hearing your thoughts on it. Just to kind of back up what you said. So my daughter does attend Walnut. She is in an AP history course that she's very fond of. She's been doing well virtually. And her concern is that she doesn't want to return to Walnut. She doesn't think it's safe. She questions the judgment of the adults who are making the decision. At the same time, she thinks she's afraid that she'll fall behind in her AP courses, really all her courses, but she's really concerned about her AP course in terms of doing it in a virtual standpoint. So it's a real concern for a lot of parents. I made the point early on that some people struggle with that. I just thought, wow, everybody wants to be 5 days a week, Mike. Like, I want my kids to be at school 5 days a week. That's what I have been taught to believe is the best thing to do. The reason that we're not is because of COVID. This isn't the union. This ain't politics. It's strictly, to me, all about public health. So I think that gets lost in this conversation. Like, I think all of us, no matter where the parents are on this plan, we all want kids to be in school 5 days a week, right?
No doubt.
I think the question is, how seriously do you think that COVID is a health risk? And for me, that still remains very, very high. It appears, though, when I talk with all your colleagues, some of your colleagues, they've got different opinions on it, which is okay. That's, you got people from different walks of life. I have wondered out loud on the show, though, like, when I've observed, the school board, it just seems like there's a will between yourself and some of the other board members. And I'm not trying to single you out or pitch you against your colleagues. I'm just making an observation.
Sure.
What I've noticed is that it seems that you have been focused on the community health piece, health. And while others, it seems to be a whole bunch of other things. And I wondered aloud as to why you look at things so differently. And I know you're involved with Cradle Cincinnati. And I was just wondering, like, how did you develop your viewpoint on this? Because it seems as if it's a viewpoint that not all the school board members have.
I appreciate the question. I really do. Because, there are times over the past 10 or so months where, even I've felt like, am I being obstinate? am I seeing something, or living in a different sort of world or reality than others? And I don't think I am. And so I appreciate the opportunity to kind of explain it. So, because I'm not trying to be obstinate, and I'm, I wasn't endorsed by the union first go around. In fact, some union membership actively campaigned against me, and, that's okay. Politics is an interesting world, and I've had nothing but love for the teachers all along. But as far as like my motivations, to your point, I'm certainly not motivated by any kind of outside politics. They're motivated by the fact we are living in a pandemic paradigm, which is different and influences or should influence decision making, in my opinion, differently than when we're not living in a pandemic paradigm that's killed how many Americans at this point? Over 500,000. Or 250,000, sorry. Either way, where I'm kind of coming from is, so I get in my day job, you referenced Cradle Cincinnati, work on infant mortality, which is essentially, I work on the policy manager. So my job essentially is boiled down to looking at policies to make the experience of being a pregnant Black woman in Hamilton County better. Because when we talk about infant mortality, we're talking about Black infant mortality. And so while I don't know much about medicine, Nathan, I think a fair amount about education, workforce, transportation, and housing. And so I kind of look at social determinant policy. It's a long way of saying I get paid to prevent unnecessary death for a living. And I think that mindset that I've embraced for the past 3 years I've had this job of attempting to prevent unnecessary death has really colored the way I see this, because all of these cases, I sometimes will hear people say, well, there's only such and such amount of cases at this school. And to me, that's an asinine statement because one is too many. If one of our kids has COVID-19, I'm upset about it. So when I hear only X, Y, or Z, it makes me uncomfortable because this stuff is preventable. And so that's part of it. And then the other part of it is, so, elected people, here's a secret I'll let people in on a little secret. Elected people are not experts at everything. In fact, they may not be experts at anything. At best, we can ask that our elected people are an expert at one thing, right? Maybe two things. And I know that I'm not an expert at communicable diseases, and I am not an expert at viral transmission. And so early on when this thing started, because I'm fortunate enough to work with such smart people, much smarter than myself, I sought guidance from people who do this for a living. And, I talk to people and I ask and I research. My first life, I was an English teacher. I have advanced degrees in English. I did a lot of research, and I think that skill is translatable, right, to sort of this world. So I read a lot before my meetings. And I try to stay as up to date as possible. And I try to consult, again, people that do this for a living, that know more than I do. I don't know everything about viral transmission. I've gotten smarter about it, certainly. And so I take the information that I see, I distill it down, I weigh it against what I do know about education. And then you try to apply that to 36,000 children and families, and then make the decision that I know I can sleep with at night. And so at the end of the day, I can say I have slept well. I feel the decisions I've been making are coming from that place of preventable death, preventable illness, and access to education. So I do think, though, Nathan, I do think that my job colors the way I look at this. I do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've wondered that. I mean, I have nothing but respect for what Cradle Cincinnati is not just trying to do, but, a recent news article says you're actually moving a needle. And shout out to Queens Village. I'm a big fan of the work that they do.
Yeah.
100%.
Heck yeah, man.
Yeah, I was wondering, like why is he have such a different viewpoint than everybody else? So I appreciate you sharing those thoughts with me. So give us the particulars, Mike. What can parents expect? What's going to happen? What's going to be the first day of 5 days a week in class? And what does that mean for Walnut Hills exactly? I know Walnut Hills has options that other schools don't.
Yeah. So March 31st is the day that everyone will be back 5 days. And now Walnut also will be back 5 days with a phased-in approach, which as of now has not been shared publicly. So maybe, we have a meeting tonight, of course, at 6:30. So I'd tune into that to see. We had discussed before the 5 days that it was going to be like 7th and 8th grade and then 9 through 12. So I don't, unfortunately, have the information regarding exactly what the phased-in approach will look like, but they will be going back March 31st as well. And then the distance learning choices. So the 5 days in person, I'll just kind of give you a little breakdown here. So the mask policy we created in policy committee that I chair last year, I chair this year as well, but we created a mask policy last year that'll be in effect. Physical distancing to the maximum extent possible, but may not be 6 feet, which of course, as you, I think, know, I maintain serious concerns about. Hand washing, respiratory etiquette, cleaning and ventilation, contact tracing, quarantining, etc., and then vaccinations for staff, which we've kind of already undertaken. The distance learning choices, and this again is where I was kind of hung up. I would have preferred 100% virtual until the fall, but I knew that was ever going to happen. So the Cincinnati Digital Academy, which I need to give massive props to the people over there. It's a great program. They're working their tails off. They never asked for any of this. I hope we don't overload them, is all I'll say about that right now. Distance learning from homeschool options in spring 2021. It's Schoology, which the downloading assignments. Not much contact with the teacher. Fall of 2021 is when we'll be able to do concurrent live streaming options. And now that, the way I understand, well, it's not the way I understand it, it's the way it is in the fall. So that concurrent live streaming is going to happen in the cases or the classrooms that need it the most. And so at the last board meeting, I asked if there was sort of a metric for that, right? Meaning, obviously it wouldn't be a number, but like a ratio. So is it 70% of families say we want the concurrent live streaming option, like 70% is the make or break number, or is it 50%? The answer I was given by IT is that they don't know yet, which is fine. But I just want to make sure, because as you know, this whole time when we've talked about the concurrent live streaming option, we've been told we weren't able to do it because of bandwidth and all that, which is, that's fine. I don't understand a lot of that stuff. I believe it. We're a big district. But with the CARES Act 2 money, and a lot of other machinations that have gone down, we're gonna build it out, which is really cool news. By spring 2021, anybody who wants to do concurrent live streaming will be able to. But in the fall, again, we're going to phase it in based on schools or even individual classrooms with the most need for that. So, but I just hope that, I hope there's not a world where every school has the most need, because then we wouldn't, you see where I'm going with this, we wouldn't be able to do it again. And it would be this sort of, some people have an equitable choice and some do not. So hopefully that won't happen. Hopefully in the fall, everyone will be able to sort of pipe in how they want to be with their teacher 5 days a week. But in the spring of 2021, everyone will have access. So that's kind of the long and short.
So just to clarify, to make sure I understand. So is Wanted Hills on March 31st, is there going to be a concurrent live streaming option available for Wanted Hill students?
I've heard that. Now, I'd like to get more information on that tonight. So that was not expressly stated in our board meeting last time. So I imagine that will come up this evening as well, and have it on my list of questions. I always prepare a little. My wife always hears that say, I got to go prepare my script for the meeting. I like to, all the research I told you about week to week, then Monday afternoon, I like to take it, put it in a little written form, and now you know my secret. So I go in prepared with my questions.
So in my opinion, Mike, and I've said this, and tell me if you agree or disagree, or correct me, per your experience and expertise. Sure. But for me, virtual learning is not ideal for anyone. No parent wants it. We want our kids to be in school. But because of COVID, we've got to make these precautions. For me, in terms of equity, I believe that the 100% virtual option was more equitable, because it offered across the board, no matter what the school, no matter where you are, what neighborhood, all the children have the same access to the teacher through the virtual option. And when you start doing these blended and hybrid in one school, that's when the questions of equity and fairness and privilege start to come up. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, 100%. And I've been pretty bullish about that this whole time in our meetings. For my money, to your point, disruption, which the virtual piece certainly is. Disruption is not good for learning. I know some people are sick of hearing me say this, but I'm going to keep saying it because I believe it. Consistent disruption is better than inconsistent disruption. And to me, the virtual piece, in addition to being more equitable, which I agree with too, learning wise was consistently disruptive, to the point that some families got used to it, to the point that nationally was showing some Black students were performing better in that paradigm. A lot of the studies I was reading, I posted a couple links on my Facebook page not too long ago. And there's a whole host of reasons for that, right? Our educational system, like every system in America, is governed by racism. We have cops in schools where we need to look at all this, and some students felt more comfortable at home. So that's another longer conversation, but one that I think we need to have as we go into the future of public ed. But yes, virtual, and then blended. To your point, that was it's awkward for a lot of reasons. Yes, perhaps more inequitable, but at the very least, you go from seeing a teacher 5 days a week to like 2.5. And so, I'm a firm believer. This is maybe a bias, having been a teacher, but I'm a firm believer in that teacher-student relationship being the thing. That's the thing that does it. Curriculum is the second thing. I'm a big curriculum guy too, but that teacher-student relationship is number 1 through 10 as far as what's impacting that kid. And, seeing that teacher is part and parcel of that. And so that's why I have very, very strong reservations about telling families, if you don't want to send your kid back 5 days a week, you can download stuff on Schoology. That really concerns me. And but the light at the end of the tunnel is in the fall. We're gonna get it. We're gonna move forward. And I do think, not trying to play devil's advocate myself, I do believe this. There are a lot of exciting things and opportunities because the wounds are so wide right now to rebuild. There's so many opportunities to rebuild better and more equitable. And again, I'm not wanting to see a silver lining, Nathan. So it's not, but I do think that's real. And I think, we'll come out the other side, hopefully better. But, in the meantime, yeah, I'll pause because I do have I have a meeting with a former student at 9 a.m. So I'm going to end, I'm going to have to hop off soon, but, yeah, I said in the last meeting, if I had my way, we would just go fully virtual until the fall. And that would, I thought would have been a sound idea, but I knew, that wasn't going to happen.
Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you. We'll be watching.
Yeah, man.
And of course, we'll stay connected.
All right, Nathan. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you for your time. That's Mike Moroski, everybody. He only had like 30 minutes with us. I appreciate it. Again, I'm going to circle back around, and this. Now, whether they come on the show or not, I don't know. I can't tell you. I'm going to reach out to Melanie Bates and ask her to come back on the show. I'm going to reach out to each and every single board member and ask them to come back on the show. Why? Because I want to know their thought process. Why did you vote the way you did? And, the Mike Moroski, he just said something that I know it seems like it's sacrilege or it's like against God, but he just said he was for 100% virtual. I think that 100% virtual, I want this to be known, would have just been a safer and smarter option across the board. It might have been more of a pain. It's difficult for parents, and I care 100%. You know what I'm saying? But I think what's getting lost here is that we don't have to be against one another as parents. We're all on the same side. We all want the same thing for our children. We all want our kids to get the best education, period. Let's start with where we agree rather than starting where we disagree, which we do too much in this city. Okay? We all agree with that. And I want to keep making this point that the only reason why there was any interruption at all in the traditional learning model was because of COVID. It wasn't because of the teachers union. It wasn't because some parents made a decision. It was because of COVID. A national pandemic that's killed over 500,000 Americans year to date. And just last week, I read that Cincinnati Public Schools reported a higher infection rate of COVID in the school than any other school district in Ohio. I'm doing a show, right? I can't see right now, baby. He's had a toothache for the weekend. He's like, Dad, I think I know the reason why my tooth something, he just said. I'm at home. So he comes into the office when he wants to. It is what it is. But that's if you want to know what my impetus is, what my energy is, it's them. It's him. It's these people that come in. It's the wifey. It's little Buddha or medium Buddha. It's Junior. That's where my passion comes from. Because I feel this. Like some of these talk show hosts that's talking about this, they don't even live in the city. When you hear these other talk show hosts in Cincinnati talking about this, you ask them, do they live in the city? Do they have children at CPS? And if the answer is no, tell them to shut the fuck up. because they don't have no skin in the game. I'm here in the city of Cincinnati. Both of my children are in CPS. I'm not one of these people that's driving in from the suburbs talking ish about what happened in Cincinnati. What happens in this city matters to my family. I've got a level of authenticity that a lot of these dudes, these other folks in the city just don't have. They out in the suburbs somewhere talking about what happens in Cincinnati. I'm in Cincinnati right now. Right now. You know what I'm saying? So this is way more than a topic to me. This is life for me. I feel this. I am this. I got skin in the game. This ain't just something to talk about today because I think it'll get people to call in. I talk about this because it's important. And what you might pick up in terms of passion is 100% authentic. I'm not dissing anybody else. I'm just telling you, there's a clear distinction on these Cincinnati issues between me and other people. I live in Cincinnati. I pay taxes in Cincinnati. You know what I'm saying? My children go to CPS. So before anybody says, well, Nate, you this, that, and the other, whatever you might say, just keep that in mind. Yeah. But as I was saying, it's not lost on me that, and again, people can, I'm not trying to say you should vote for Mike Moroski. I'm not endorsing anyone. You know what I'm saying? I'm just give it to you straight. You know, to me, Mike Moroski stood out because he's 100% focused on health. And I haven't heard him talking about all this other googly got nonsense that I've heard from some of these other school board members. To me, and I've argued with people about this, is real simple. This is not difficult. This is not complicated. It's simple. It's life and death. Which would you choose? I don't play games with my children's lives. I don't play games with my family members' lives. I don't put my family members in positions where they may or may not come out okay. I try to choose the safest possible option. Why would you do anything different with everybody else's children? You know what I'm saying? So we shall see. I hope the best. I hope that we beat COVID, whatever the hell that means. I hope that nobody gets infected, nobody gets sick, no one dies. I hope that when the kids return back on January 31st, everything is okay. That's what I hope. That's what my sincerest hope is. Now, my brain tells me something different. And Mike is right. I read the similar articles. Why are Black kids nationally doing well during COVID, during the quarantine? Why? Why are Black kids nationally doing well under COVID? I read an article. He just referenced it and it jogged my memory. Why is that? Well, see, there's a lot of reasons why, and I think not the least of which is they don't have to deal with the bias, implicit or otherwise, of teachers and administrators. They ain't got to deal with no resource officers. You don't have to deal with a white teacher or white administrator or a Black teacher or a Black administrator that's not applying justice to a situation, not being fair and impartial. They ain't got to deal with that. They ain't got to deal with all the social anxiety. I'm just saying, if we're smart, and by we I mean everybody, CPS, if we're smart, we'll learn from this whole situation and come out better. That's what my sincerest hope is for the city that I love. I love Cincinnati. I don't hate Cincinnati because if I don't talk about things I hate. Like, I'm not a big fan of Taylor Swift. I don't hate her. I ain't a big fan of her. Do you ever hear me talk about her? No, because she's irrelevant to me. I talk about the most what I care about the most. Simple as that. But what do you think? What do you think this morning? Pardon me, I'm trying to get it in with the tea this morning. It's a part of my daily ritual. It makes me feel good to get that green, get organic tea, family. Get yourself organic tea. If you know anything about the tea industry, the practices in which they cultivate it and bring it to your table or the shelves of your grocery store is not all the same. Get yourself some organic tea. You know what I'm saying? Put you some nice little 100% grass-fed collagen in there every day. Get your collagen up, especially if you're over 40. You're going to feel much better. You're going to feel much better. But what do you think? Brian writes, take a look at this tooth, Dad. Right. This show is inconsequential to him. He's like, oh, that's right. You're on the show. Just doing a little show. So that's it. But I don't know. I like it. I'll be honest with you. You can tell. I like it when he comes in. He says, "Good morning," and I'm all about love. I'm all about black love. We need more black love, not less. We need more black love, not less. I'm 100% about it. To me, it's black love. So it's all a part of the show. People like it too. People like, oh, Junior, and he likes it too. He likes to come in and he starts hamming it up and shucking it up, and it is what it is. So that's what it is. That's what it is. And I'm concerned about the teachers. I'm concerned about the administrators. I'm concerned about the children, the students. I'm concerned about the lunch ladies. I'm concerned about the custodians. I'm concerned about the partners. I'm just saying, sometimes, I don't know, man, just in my life, sometimes I got to sacrifice to get something even bigger. And that's how I looked at COVID. But we'll find out. We'll find out. So there it is. I mean, there's still some question marks in my mind about, is there going to be a concurrent live stream option in January for Walnut Hill students? He said there was a couple things that the board still have to work out. And I'm like, okay, we only got 2 weeks. You know what I'm saying? Let us as parents and the community know as soon as possible so we can make our decision. It looks like parents are going to have like a week turnaround to decide as to whether at Walnut Hills, as to whether, you're going to, have your kids back in 5 days a week in person. I think for Walnut Hills, that's a big step to go from 100% virtual to a phased in 100% 5 days a week. I think that's a huge step right there. It's like, what about all the stuff we've been talking about? And, I wanted to make sure that Mike understood, and all the other school board members that might be watching but won't pop in. I'm not trying to pit him against anybody else. I don't need to do all of that. I mean, it is what it is. People can read it for themselves. So, but I appreciate the time. And just so you know, I'll be reaching out to all the school board members again to pick their brains as to where they are now. That was a month ago when we had those interviews. So I want to know where they are now. And then we just had a 4-3 decision. And in particular, really, I want to hear from everybody. I want to hear from the folks who voted for it and who didn't, as to why they didn't or why they did. And you already know it's the same style. It's the same style. It is what it is. But, people have to make their own decisions about the people that they want to represent them. And it's a very, very, I see once again, we're learning that the school board is very, very important. Nobody was really focused on the school board until they had to make a decision about the FC Cincinnati Stadium in the West End. Then everybody was like, oh, every vote matters. That dies down a little bit. Nobody's really thinking about the school board until COVID hit. And then the school board has to make a life and or death decision about virtual or in-school learning. And I just want people to keep that same energy. Like if you're really energized about the school board and it matters to you, keep that same energy. Go beyond just creating Facebook pages. Create, community events. Create grassroots organizations that, can sustain the type of focus that we need. I'm not telling you who's good or who's not. I'm just saying in general, wherever you feel, I just want people to keep that same energy and stay vigilant and keep your eyes on the ball. Okay, that's all I want us to do. Who you vote for in November or who you favor or who you like, that's secondary. What's important is the health and well-being of our school system. And even if you don't have children, you should care about CPS because you live in Cincinnati. And it's going to impact you whether you know it or not. That's just my take on it. No teacher school drama. Right. No teacher school drama. My daughter's had to deal with teacher school drama. She's also had to deal with peer-to-peer drama. And so I think that the absence of that, there's some good things about virtual. I think there's a lot of good things about virtual, right? And I feel like when I listen to the school board and I hear these community conversations, they just gloss over that. Like the majority of school board members, they don't want to have a conversation about the good things that are happening during virtual learning because it challenges what they really wanted to do, which was to vote to go back to 5 days a week, which, again, I did the numbers and I think they're picking up 30 days? I think it is like 30, 31 days. Like in general, like outside of Walnut, you've got some folks that are going 2 days a week already, right? They're going to be picking up 3 days a week. So you got to count that out and ask yourself, is it really worth it? Some say yes, Some say no, just for the fourth quarter. What I didn't ask Mike, and what we'll find out later, is there going to be an impact in terms of the infection rate of COVID when kids return or people return from spring break? That's something to think about. But let's move on here. Many other things I want to talk about this morning. Like I said, this morning I'm bringing to you 3 stories that you might have missed. 3 stories that you might have missed. We talked about Kirk Franklin. I want to talk about the other 2 stories. Did you see the viral video of the sister? Now, she's in the middle, that middle segment right there. Did you see this story? Just a tragic end to that story right there, family. Before I get into it, I just want to remind you that you are invited. Consider this an invitation to the public swearing in and reception honoring Charlie Winburn. Charlie Winburn was selected to be the first African-American Hamilton County treasurer. And this reception is going to take place on Friday, this Friday from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. over at Corinthian Baptist Church. All are welcome. If you don't know, Corinthian Baptist Church is located at 1920 Tennessee Avenue here in beautiful Cincinnati, Ohio, 45237. For more information, you can call Zakiya Allen at 513-477-8098. A complimentary box lunch will be provided for all participants on the go. All right. So if that's your lunch break that you're going to use, don't worry about it. They got you. Also, plenty of social distancing space will be enforced and masks are required. So if you're going to show up, don't show up without your mask. Don't show up without your mask. Okay. I'm not sure what's going to happen. I'm just saying masks are required. Good morning to you. But let me move on here. I want to talk about this middle story, and it's just so sad. It's such a sad story. Field training officer Josh Baker remains in stable condition at Vanderbilt University Medical System after being shot during an exchange of gunfire with a woman. Apparently, he is a 14-year-old, a veteran of the police department. He stopped this woman and tried to engage her, and things just got out of hand. And this is a sister. I'm not sure if you've seen this video. And I believe it ended with her actually losing her life. She actually drove away. And just not a good situation right here. But I think we watch these videos from time to time. I want to play this for you. And I totally understand if you feel like you want to look away and come back. I would hope that you would stay with us, but you got to do what you got to do. I completely understand and respect it. I completely understand and respect it. So this black woman was pulled over, and I'm going to show you what happened afterward. And then I want to give you some comment. Okay. Then I want to give you some comment. All right. So let me find the correct video. Here it is. There we go. All right. You ready? Check this out.
Ma'am, stop going through it. You come step right back here. What did you take out of it?
Nothing. I was
Okay. All right, listen. Just come back here. I think we're getting off on the wrong foot, okay?
Because I'm really confused on why I'm getting stopped.
He's got several warrants.
Okay, that has nothing to do with me.
You don't know who's in the car.
Nobody's in my car.
Well, now I know that. However, now I'm going to address the other problems.
Okay, so you want my bag and all my belongings.
So just step right back here.
Can I use the restroom?
And let you know this is being audio and video recorded, just to let you know.
Okay.
23, if you did have one more, that would be good.
10-4, dispatch any unit near Ewing Drive and for church, Ewing Drive and for church.
Can we step back here?
21 to 23, do you need me code 3?
Negative, just code 2. So it's just in here?
Yes, sir.
Okay, was there...
Well, I'm about 5 minutes from you.
Is this?
Yes. It's probably another bag of weed. Hey, Mom, I need you to come to Alpha Trinity Lane right here where Sitco is, the Dollar General.
23 to 25.
I just got pulled over because the my name is on the car, and he wanted to know if he was in the car with me, but he's not in the car with me, but I do got weed.
Hey, are you available?
I'm right here at the Dollar General.
They can be in a couple minutes.
What is this?
Brick Church
Brick Church.
and Ewing.
have you starting route. You're about 4 minutes away. Disregard, actually. Disregard on that.
Yeah, I'm not done with that, though. Where's your lighter at?
In the car.
13. It says you're about 7 minutes away.
I'll get it for you in a second, okay?
So you drive
right there
church
in your
and the Dollar General. Can I have you start from 23?
You scaring me.
Thank you.
Yeah, come on. Here, do me a favor, turn.
No, hold
Turn
on.
around.
Don't put me in handcuffs. I haven't done anything wrong.
Ma'am.
No, don't put me
You're about to get tased.
No!
Get down! Get down on the ground! Down on the ground!
I didn't do nothing.
Step out. Ma'am! Put the gun down! Put the gun down! 23 shots fired! Shots fired!
10-4, 13, keep at that code 3.
$23, I'm hit. Step out. Ma'am! Put the gun down! Put the gun down! 23 shots fired! Shots fired!
10-4, 13, keep at that code 3.
$23, I'm hit.
Okay, so that's the video right there. I know these things can be very difficult to look at, to view. That's why I tried to give you a heads up so you can turn away or look away or whatever you need to do based upon how you feel about these things. Was the officer wrong? The woman involved, she left that scene, and as I'm reading, she crashed into the bushes and a ditch at the intersection of Brick Church Pike and Morewood Drive. As I understand it, this happened down in Tennessee. And she was transported to a medical facility where she died. The officer, precinct officer Josh Baker, was shot in the, from what I'm reading, he was shot in the torso, but as to this point has survived. He's still alive and survived his injuries. And from what I'm reading, the officer, precinct officer Baker, told authorities afterward that he noticed some marijuana, some white residue, like some drugs. That can always be a provocation for the police to stop you. You already know it. But I want to get your honest thoughts. Was sis wrong? Was the officer wrong? What do you think? If in fact she pulled a gun on a police officer, I'll be honest with you, what do you think is going to happen? And I don't know. I mean, I feel like this situation, who knows her mindset, but the way I look at it is at the point at which the officer has stopped you and he's asking you these questions, you've been stopped by an officer. You ain't going nowhere. Right? That's what's going to happen. His job, he is going to investigate it, and you might be detained and or you might end up. She runs away from him. She gets into the car. She starts ruffling through her things. I mean, I'm not really sure how many officers would have done anything differently. Are there any police officers out there that want to share their thoughts? You can do it anonymously. Just a terrible situation right there, with everybody involved. Officer got shot. She got shot and killed. For what exactly? For what? Because she didn't want to be put in handcuffs? I don't get it. But again, you never know where people are coming from. And, TNT is completely right. If she pulled out a gun, At the officer, he had a right to use deadly force. 100%. We already know that. 100%. And again, I just urge people, and black people in particular, to be smart about these police exchanges when you're interacting with police. My attitude about it is that, and I just know how this goes. My attitude about it is, for me personally, is I'm not arguing with or fighting with unless I've got a reason to, and I don't know what that is. But I don't want to argue and fight with police officers on the side of the road or in the parking lot of a Family Dollar, as in the case in this case, because you're never going to win that. You might have a case. The officer could be dead wrong, but the actions that you take in that moment, going through that process of being arrested, could either help or completely overshadow whatever case you might have. And that's why I tell people, in particular, black people specifically, that as much as possible, put away $500, $600, $700, $1,000, $2,000 for a raining day, for a legal fund, because you might have a scenario which you completely right. Let's say you've been done wrong, or you've been misidentified, or your rights have been trampled on, right? And you got a real case. Don't destroy your case by doing some dumb ish during the process. The process of being arrested and going down to wherever you go down to is just the process. It's just the beginning. It's not the end. You don't necessarily have to stay there. Hopefully, if there's a bail or a bond, you can get out. And then you can go get yourself a lawyer. And if you've got a case, then that lawyer can fight for your case. But I've just seen too many times in situations, like I've seen plenty of situations where I thought the officer was wrong. And I've seen plenty of situations where I thought the officer was right. You know what I'm saying? That's a tough situation right there. I mean, she made her decision. I don't think it was a smart decision, obviously. I don't think that was smart whatsoever. But it is what it is. It's a very, very sad story right there I want to share with you. But again, when you have these interactions with police, be smart about it. You might be pissed off. And what I'm saying is you could be completely right. But don't blow your deal. Don't blow your case. Don't put yourself in a situation where now you got 3 or 4 charges when it was just going to be 1, because you're not going to win that. You're just not going to win it. It's just the system isn't designed for you to win it on the side of the road. You're never going to win that. I say 9 times out of 10, if not 10 times out of 10, you're not going to win that. So be smart about it, family. Be smart. Be smart. I don't know why she was running from the officer. Like, to me, it was over. He got you, sis. All that running and arguing and going to your purse, it's just a bad deal. So apparently she pulled a gun and the officer did what he had to do. So TNT said it right. So unnecessary. Just unnecessary. He got you. He got you. You got some weed in the car. You got some cocaine in the car. He got you. It is what it is. Deal with it. You know what I'm saying? Deal with it. He got you. You driving without a license, he got you. Deal with it. But don't compound it by doing what we seen sis do. But you never know her mind state. It's something about her, having cuffs put on you is a scary thing. It's a very scary thing. I've made this point before. That's not a natural position for your hands to be behind your back like that. There's people out there in different levels of fitness, and there's folks out there that will have panic attacks because your hands behind your back, you can't move. I can understand that 100%. And what I would say is 2 things. One, if you're the kind of person who feel like you're going to have panic attacks, then don't put yourself in a position where they're going to put cuffs on you. That's number 1. But then number 2, if you are in that situation, stay calm, stay cool, get processed. If you feel like you've been wronged by the officer, he violated your civil rights, take that to a lawyer afterward if you can afford it. And if your lawyer can make a case, you can have your day in court, but not on the side of the road. I seen a brother, it was a black dude. He was at Walmart, and one of the Walmart checkers misidentified or singled him out and said that he was shoplifting. This brother, he went all off in the Walmart. Didn't you just see me pay for this? Then you say this going on and on and on. 2 officers, 2 white officers, happened to be 2 white officers, came over, was talking to him calm at first. They wanted him to lead. They wanted to talk with him. I ain't do nothing wrong. And it ended badly. He ended up dragging his ass out, and he got arrested for resisting arrest. And he might have had a case initially. But now, when you go before the judge, you got all these charges about how you was wilding out with the police. It's just not going to play well in court. It's just not going to serve your interest. You know what I'm saying? We got to be smarter than this. We got to be smarter than this. That's all I'm saying. So it's just a bad situation. Sheila writes, I've heard that you don't have to answer the questions legally. You don't have to say a word. You don't have to say anything. You know, they ask you your name, tell them your name. That's it. You don't have to open your mouth and say another word. In fact, I think a lot of lawyers will suggest that you don't say a word until you meet with your lawyer. But arguing back and forth, I've never seen that end well. Whether the initial reason why there was a stop was righteous or lawful or whatever, I've never seen that end well. And so I'm saying this again. I know I'm speaking to the choir. A lot of smart, intelligent, highly motivated individuals watch this show and participate in this show. I ain't telling you something you don't already know. But there might be one person out there like, you know what? Something might happen today. And remember the words of your boy Nate Ivey. I want the best for you. Just don't go out like that. Don't do it. Don't do it. Tiff writes, by the looks of it, she was wrong. He suspected her putting something away. Why didn't he search the car? The moment that she brings out a gun, it really doesn't matter what happened leading up to it, in my opinion. You pulling out a gun on a police officer, it don't really matter what he said or did before that. Nobody's really going to focus on that. The incident is going to start and end with her pulling the weapon out. That's just how it goes. Fair or not, that's just the world that we live in. And we already know the rules. Speaking of police, here we are, 1 year anniversary of the death of Breonna Taylor. Did you read that her boyfriend, the man who was with her that night when Louisville police broke into her home trying to on a warrant search, remember that? He has been completely exonerated. He will not be charged at all. And I think that's quite interesting. Like, this man opened fire on police. Initially, he was charged with a crime. They dropped it. And then last week, it came out that he will not be charged. There's no criminal charges whatsoever. And to me, that just underscores just how bad of a situation it was right there. Where they do that at? Where a black man opens fire on police and then you don't have no jail time at all? Nothing? That means that the police that were breaking into or exercising the warrant at Breonna Taylor's house was dead wrong. That's what that means. Because where they do that in America, where a black man can open fire on police officers and you don't do no time, you ain't got no charges? Nowhere. Nowhere. That just goes to show you just how absolutely innocent Breonna Taylor and her boyfriend were. Of course, she lost her life. And my question is, and this is something I want you to think about, is how much has changed in this year? Like, people hit the streets from all over the country. I was in downtown Cincinnati. I was out there. Y'all saw some of the videos, your eyes and ears on the streets. There was social unrest all over the country because of the death of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor. But substantively, tangibly, where you live at, how much has really changed? How much has really changed? I do know there's a lot of good people in the city of Cincinnati who, looking at what happened with Breonna Taylor, are trying to put things in place here in Cincinnati. And I think that's a great thing. But that's Cincinnati. Where you live at? What are people doing where you live? Are people rethinking, how police officers, are they reimagining how police officers exercise warrants? That's what good people are doing here in Cincinnati. I think it's great. Smart people learn in a lot of different ways. And one of the most profound ways that I think that smart people learn in is from other people's mistakes. So smart people looked at what happened in Louisville and they said, oh, shit. What if that was Cincinnati? To me, that is such a smart thing to do, to look at what happened somewhere else and say, are we protected here, right? This makes perfect sense. I think the jury is still out on terms of, nationally speaking, in terms of the impact of the death of Breonna Taylor. I think the jury is still out. And again, I've just seen how that energy works. Like the energy will go way up, then it'll go way down. It'll go way up and then go way down. You got Democrats, running things on a national level. Okay. Are we going to see some substantive or substantial, tangible policy that would protect the people from these kind of things? But what I understand about Breonna Taylor, it was a bad deal all the way around. They never should have got a warrant. It never should have been exercised in that way. When they were exercising, it was just a bad, bad, bad situation all the way around. That's why that brother is basically not going to be charged. And as I told you, as a black man, I'm chilling with my girlfriend, right? It's late at night. And I made this point before. I never believed that her boyfriend heard that it was police and then fired upon police. I don't believe that at all. I don't believe that. As a black man, the last thing in the world I'm trying to do is to go to jail. And that's a sure shot way to go to jail. Somebody knocks on the door. They say police, and then you fire because you at them. That just seems. And again, I'm bringing this up because we're talking about the situation where it appears a woman did just that. So that's a different scenario. It's not that those kind of situations never happen. That's why, being a police officer is a very dangerous job. I get it. But in the Breonna Taylor case, he's laying in bed with his lady, and you go from that to shooting at a police officer. It was too much of a leap for me. I just don't believe that. To me, it was far more believable that the Louisville police who were exercising that warrant did not properly identify themselves. And so inside the home, they didn't know who it was. They didn't know who it was until it was too late. And then you even heard the 911 call from the brother who was like, oh, wait a minute. Huh? Police? To me, it seemed completely genuine. I know the family got a big multi-million-dollar payout, but I love people. I got people in my family I love. I got friends who I care very strongly about. There's no amount of money in the world that could compensate the loss of a loved one. But that's the way the game plays. Like, we see this over and over again. Like, if there's a trial, right before the trial, the family gets paid off. They just did that with the family of George Floyd. We just found out last week, because the trial started last week, right, that the family's getting paid off. I'm like, wait a minute. Are they doing that on the timing of it? I don't think it's a coincidence, but what do you think? 3 stories that you might have missed this morning I'm discussing, among other things. Plus, we got a chance to speak with Mike Moroski. What do you think about what he had to say here on the show? What do you think? Lemmy writes, she was calm at first. She got scared, and the rest is history. Shaking my head. She right. When he decided he was going to put the cuffs on her, she got real scared. And maybe she's been cuffed before, or maybe she hasn't, and she has an anxiety about it. I completely understand it. But if she put a gun on a police officer and then fired upon him and shot him in the abdomen, what it is what it is. That's what's going to happen. Simple as that. I also want to make this point that, and I hate this, that the black community gets a bad rap. They try to play the black community like, just because an officer is involved, the black community automatically is going to go against the officer. That is not true. Black folks know the difference between right and wrong. And when we see circumstances or getting information, we know when it's the right thing and the wrong thing. When officers got to do what they got to do, they got to do what they got to do. Like in this case, if you look at a lot of the comments, a lot of the folks are like, nah, sis was tripping. He did what he had to do. I don't think there's going to be a lot of people that would disagree with that. And I just want to make that point. Because there are forces out there in the media or whatnot, especially with some of these police unions, and they are convinced that black people are against police. And nothing could be further from the truth. We some of the first people to call the police. Black people are against Conan barbaric police. That's what we're against. If you're doing your job, you're doing your job. No problems. No problems, no issues, nothing. And when it's not right, and by they, it could be those that represent the police and the media or police unions, whatever. When they try to convince us that wrong is right and we're looking at the video or we're looking at the evidence, that's when we get upset. Just like this Breonna Taylor case. It is clear The sister didn't do nothing wrong. And you had people out here talking about, oh, she was a drug courier. I don't give a damn if she was a drug courier. Where's the evidence? Oh, well, she was sending money to people that was incarcerated. And so what? Lots of people do that. Well, they should have heard. No, sis did nothing wrong. She ended up dead because the police didn't do their job and was overzealous in the Breonna Taylor case, period, point blank. And just like with this situation down in Tennessee, I just played this for you for a reason so I can make this point among other points, is that black people can look at this and see, oh, she pulled a gun? Oh, sis wrong. So I'm trying to dispel this myth that black people are somehow automatically always against the police. Nothing could be further from the truth. Let's go to the phones. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Nate. This is Brent from Dallas. How are you doing today?
Hey, what's up, Brent?
Oh, nothing much.
Welcome.
Yeah, I had a great weekend with the family. Got my bike ride in this morning, so we're feeling good right about now. But
Great to hear,
just want to chime in. Okay, I just want to chime in on 2 points. Number one, the Texas and the mask mandate. Was down, taking a quick trip with the family down to Galveston. And pretty much the way everything is set up is that most businesses, with the exception of, clubs and bars, still have their mask mandates. They're private businesses open to the public, but you still have to follow their rules. So really nothing has changed. The only thing really is that now the onus has shifted from the governor of Texas to these businesses, which, that's what they like to do anyway. They don't want any responsibility. They want plausible deniability. So if there's a spike, they can blame, people. Well, they didn't want to wear the mask. They wanted their freedom, talking all that mess. But yeah, nothing's really changed from what I've seen. I've aged out of that whole, married with 2 children, and the oldest is in his 20s. So that whole club scene and everything, that's been gone a long time ago. So yeah, nothing really changed. Schools are the same way. So it's just still the same. It was more of a show than anything else to make it seem like they're doing something, and also to distract away from the issues with the lieutenant governor and his failed lawsuits and all the federal, investigations that he has going on. I think he has 3 different federal investigations where, sort of pay to play and cronyism with getting his, direct the business to his, various businesses and his friends' businesses. So that's all on that point with the whole mask mandate. The second one dealing with Kirk Franklin. Oh man! Now with the first one, with that one, my first thought is that, okay, does he have another album coming out? Because when he went on Oprah's show and did his whole, porn confessional, he was promoting an album. So that was my very first thought: is does he have another album coming out? I think he has a tour coming up. So it could be some things there, but growing up without my father in the home, and when he would come in from out of town, he would go visit my auntie, his sister and everything, and they were literally 4 blocks away but wouldn't see me. So I can see potentially, from the son's perspective, that there can be some resentment build up, and if it doesn't get resolved and everything, that's it can tend to lash out, because I can even think back with me. I'm well into my, I'm in my late 40s now. If I was still in that same place, that takes you right back to your childhood, to what you missed out on or what you didn't have. But, thankfully, me and my dad resolved that whole issue, over, 20, 25 years ago, because I came to the realization, me hating him wasn't doing nothing to him. It was just eating me up. And number 2, he can't change, even if he was wrong and everything, or whoever's wrong, you can't change anything that happened in the past. All you can do is acknowledge it, accept it, and move on. Because if you continue to live in that past, situations like this would come up. And I don't understand why. The language and everything. Yeah, Kurt, he's out there. He should be held to a higher standard. And with my 20-year-old son, he's all muscle. And But I've never once called him out his name or anything like that. And we've gotten into some heated arguments because, you got two grown males in the same house, and you can't have it that way. God didn't intend it to be that way. You want to do your thing, you go find your own place, because this is mine. So, but that was pretty much all I had there, Nate, on those 2 points.
Well, Brent, I appreciate you sharing, man, and thank you for the call.
All right.
Yeah,
no problem. Have a good one.
Yeah, that's quite interesting. It's Brent from Texas. Number one, he said that the private businesses still have a mask mandate, which is smart. I can see that. The government's putting the onuses on the business. I can see that. And then he shared his own experience. Said, his pops was a couple blocks away, like 4 blocks away. And there might have been some issues there. But that's why I just put the onus on the adults. I blame the adults. We're the adults. We're the ones in control. Generally speaking, our children are going to turn out, they're going to be a reflection of what we put into them. They're going to turn out the way that we invest in them. That's generally speaking. And when I saw the Kirk Franklin situation, it's like, should Kirk Franklin be held to a higher standard? Sure he should. Because he's representing a higher standard. See, don't get me to talking. You already know. Anybody who's been watching this show for the years, I look at gospel artists different than mainstream artists. I've had these arguments for years. Number one, I still don't believe you should get paid off of God. That's number one, but we can go back and forth on it. But there are certain things that you can do that I think puts you in a leadership position, and it puts you in a different light. And if you're going to be a man or a woman of God, and that's what you're going to represent, then you should represent that all the time. Even when you get frustrated, even when you're super mad. In fact, especially when you get frustrated and super mad. You know what I'm saying? I can be mad at some, it's just difference. You know what I'm saying? I have no problem with getting angry and getting mad and having disagreements. It's all a part of the human experience. But it depends on your relationship with the individual. You know what I'm saying? If I'm out here going face to face with another man who I don't have a relationship with, and maybe we talking about some disrespect or something that happened, I'm going to approach that differently than if I'm arguing with my son. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to look at it. It's a whole different type of conversation. I might still be upset or angry, but I'm not going to talk to my son the same way I'm going to talk to some nigga on the street. That's just me. And again, I just can't see a scenario, and I don't want to see that scenario in which I refer to my son who comes in here all the time. He's 6 years old. I'm always going to be older than him, always. He's always going to be my son. He probably going to do some dumb ish that's going to make me go off. I see it. That's a part of being a father. I'm anticipating it. I'm planning on it. But to call him a bitch ass, I just can't see it. But again, I'm not Kirk Franklin. Obviously, for him to say that and refer to his son 30, 13, or 85, I don't care how old my son gets. He's always going to be my child. I just can't see that happening. But again, obviously, Curtis had a long time frustration with him. I'm just a big believer, and you can't cut your kids off. I'm just a big believer of, okay, maybe this energy isn't good. Let's get off the phone. Okay, let's huddle up and get back together later, because the energy's bad right now. You know what I'm saying? Before you say something or I say something and it goes too far and we can't come back from, let's just get off the phone. I know that's old school. Brian writes, I disagree, TNT. For them, it's an expense worth paying for the role they play in society. Do we think cops have changed from their original task or not? ? I say they haven't, despite the fact that they have been made civilized. They still enforce black codes and try to crush resistance, whether against picket lines or workers or other people fighting for justice. Can't be both here. Okay. TNT writes, back to Brian, I don't disagree with you, brother. We are nowhere close to real police reform. I'm saying my option, if I'm being harassed by police, is to not resist and pull out a gun and shoot. I'd rather survive and take it to court. That's all. Jericho writes, why should Kurt be held to a higher standard? He's not my pastor. Are we also holding the one pastor from Cincinnati who was dating multiple women in his congregation? This is just my viewpoint, and good morning to you, Jerica. This is just my viewpoint, but I believe that if you are a man or woman of God, then you should be held to a higher standard. That's just me. That's just me. You know what I'm saying? Like, if that's how you making your money with God, and you got all these Christian principles, then you should be at the very least, you should be trying to live up to them. I don't expect you to be perfect. I'm not saying I want to cancel Kurt Franklin. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, yeah, I think you should be held to a higher standard. You know what I'm saying? As a father, as a man, as a member of the church. Now, he's just an entertainer. He's not like a pastor, right? Now, you asked about this pastor from Cincinnati. You know what? I ain't talked to sis in a minute. I'm going to reach out to her. I know she's going through some things. She's up in New York now, but you talking about the pastor that was dating, damn, what's the sister's name? I can see her face. We're Facebook friends. I don't know. I can't remember her name right now. Is it Andrea? Andrea? I think it's Andrea. So, yeah, I would hold him to a higher standard too. I don't expect for a pastor of a church to lead his life the way a teenage boy would. I don't expect that. Because if you're leading your life the way a teenage boy would, then why should I listen to anything you have to say? Like, if you don't, at the very least, if you don't have the discipline so that your actions match your words, then why should I go to your church and listen to anything you have to say? That's the way I look like it. Danita writes, it sounds like you are thinking that gospel artists are fallible. They are. Everybody's fallible. Fame writes, Brent Bear, you're wrong. Leave Brent alone, man. Leave Brent alone. Brian writes, no, he shouldn't be held to a higher standard. He puts his pants on the same way I do, one leg at a time. He's human. How he handled it is just how he handled it. You or I might not have used those words, but he did. I have no problem with it. Okay. I disagree with that. But okay, we can agree, disagree always, Brian. Good to see you, brother. Fame writes, don't listen to Brian. He's going to get you killed. Then you go hating again on black men. Jericho writes, what's the pastor's name? Let me see. Man, I'm telling you, Andrea went super hard. She went super hard on that pastor. Man, she had all kind of press, front page, Inquirer articles. Hold on. You talking about Pastor Victor Cousins. Pastor Victor Cousins. Now, that's just me. I would expect that. Okay. Now I could be wrong in that. I'm just giving you my honest thoughts about it. You know what I'm saying? 100%. See, Lisa put it in there. Pastor Victor Cousins. Yeah, Pastor Victor Cousins had a good thing going on. He messed all that up, man. Ashley was first inside the Chop Shop this morning. She writes, good morning, Nate and the Choppers. Happy Monday. Ray writes here. CG Dub, a.k.a. Chocolate Girl Wonder, writes, good morning, Choppers. Tracy writes, hi. Tuscan Ron writes, rise and shine, young stars. Tanika writes, good morning, Nate and the Choppers. Damn, Biden, you out here dropping 6K into people's accounts, huh? Snaps fingers. I knew I should have had more kids. That's a hell of a trade-off. More kids or $7,000. One of them, I don't know. To me, I've got 2 children. That I love them. But 7K kids, that ain't the same. That ain't the same. The money you're going to spend on a child from cradle to 18 is into the 6 figures. It far surpasses. Like the investment that we've made to our children at this point, we got a daughter that's 15 and a son that's 6. Man, I did. There was a point when I was calculating it, but I had to stop. I was like, this ain't serving me. I'm not going to keep track of this money right here. You're talking about 6 figures. You're talking about 6 figures to raise a child. You know what I'm saying? So 7K should be higher than that, quite honestly. You know, that's just me. That's just me. I know some people are getting their checks already. My sister, she said she had some friends who was getting their checks on Friday. I talked to her on Friday on the phone. She was like, yeah, I got friends that's getting their checks now. I'm like, damn, that's quick. See how fast the government works? That's why you can't tell us that reparations isn't something that can happen. It could happen. It's just that they don't want to give black folks the money. That's all it comes down to. Reparations could happen just like that. They just don't want to give us the leg up. They don't want us to live good. They don't want us to live our best life. I believe that 100%. There's too much resentment about black excellence for them to say, you know what, we're going to drop $600,000 in your bank account. Man, that would change the paradigm for too many people too quickly. That would change the complexion of the cul-de-sac. And there's some folks that don't want that, quite honestly. It's the truth. Sharp writes, good morning. Ernest Baker writes, good morning to the people who voice good opinions, whether I agree or not. Meghan Markle, Kurt Franklin are assholes. So is Mike Moroski. That must be fame right there. I mean, whatever your opinion is about whatever, whether it be Mike Moroski or whatever, you are totally entitled to your opinion on this show. You do not have to agree with me at all. At all. Whatever your opinion is what it is. I'm not here to tell you you're wrong about a damn thing. Okay? Unless I'm telling you wrong about something. Tiff writes, why is Wanda Hills getting live stream options and not all schools? Well, Tiff, I asked Mike that, and he was like, well, I'm not clear if that's really happening or not. So perhaps tonight the board member meeting will get more information. We'll get more information from these men and women that are leading us from that position. We'll find out. Angie writes, very frustrating they're making us decide for the remaining school year by this Friday. How can we decide that? ? I may not want to send her 331. It depends on the situation 2 weeks from now. But I may again disappointed in BOE, Board of Education. I was considering blended after spring break, not 5 days. I can't get there that fast. Angie, I'm with you as well. That seems like to be an awful fast turnaround. And again, it makes me wonder where the 4 people who voted for this are coming from. It makes me wonder. Hold on, I'm getting a text message here. Oh, really? I didn't know that. Somebody's telling me that John Crawford III is in the chat room. Hey, Mr. Crawford, how you doing, sir? Yeah, welcome. I want to catch up with you, brother. As a matter of fact, I still do have your number. I will reach out to you, brother. You might remember John Crawford was the black man who was killed at the Beaver Creek Walmart. After, it's very difficult to talk about these kind of things because I feel this, that could be me, that could be my brother, that could be my son, and he was falsely accused by Ronald Ritchie. Again, I'll never forget that man's name until the day I die. I hope wherever Ronald Ritchie is, I hope when he dies, he burns in hell. I do. That's just me. I just think there's some things you just don't do. And you don't set somebody up for failure with the police. You just don't do that. You don't bear false witness on your brother, your fellow human being, unless you don't do nothing like that. Because in these days and times, people can get killed. That's what happened. They got a 911 call. Essentially, it was wrong, saying that this man was waving a gun at people. He never was doing that. I never saw any evidence of that to this day. Police showed up and they reacted accordingly. They reacted to what they thought was going on. I still think the police officers overreacted. They could have gave the man a chance to get a word out of his mouth. But again, if you're a family man, you got children, you get a phone call saying that, there's somebody pointing a gun at children, you're going to react in a certain way. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be a human reaction. And that's what happened. Very, 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 very sad. Very, very sad. Amy writes, you are right. My autistic son has thrived for the first time ever in remote school. Less distraction, less ostracism. I too worry about the collective community, the aides, custodians, bus drivers. The decision is ultimately going to lead to spikes in COVID in students. We don't know if families that already have COVID may get reinfected. This occurred in Brazil. Not knowing is what makes decisions so much more important. Thanks for staying on this. Oh, absolutely. I'm staying on this because this is my reality. Like I said, my children go to CPS, one at Walnut, one at Fairview. I'm in Cincinnati. My wife is in Cincinnati. We are all Cincinnati people. We live and work and play and eat and everything else that humans do in Cincinnati. So what happens here matters to me more than what happens anywhere else in the world. And what's being overlooked by a lot of these board members, and I think in terms of the community as well, is the fact that there have been a lot of success stories in remote learning. It seems as if that has been suppressed. That is suppressed. And that, you know, the board members will acknowledge it. They'll be like, "Oh yeah, there's some good things happening," but they end right there. And you know, I agree with Mike Moroski 100%. At this point, we got 1 quarter left. There's so many question marks after spring break, variants. Why are we doing this? Like, what do we think we're really going to gain by students going to school for 30 extra days? What are we really gaining by that? I still question that. I still question that. Now, if there's a money motive, like, hey, you got to be in school to get CARES money, then say that. But if it's just about what you think, I think it's reprehensible. Absolutely. But this is where we are. I don't have any control over it. They got the control over it. We gave them the control to make the decision. They're making a decision. We got to roll with it. So get your natural immunity up. Get your gut biotics up. Making sure you're working out. Keep your sugar intake down as much as possible. Get that exercise in every single day to naturally strengthen your immunity system so that you get anything, COVID or whatever, that your body's in the best place it can to fight it off. Invest in the N95 masks as much as possible. You know, those are the kind of things. Come up with a protocol so when your kids come home, do they disrobe and they first come in the door, they go straight to the shower? What's going to be your protocol to keep you safe at home? That's all we can do at this point. Or you make a decision so that your kid can be on Schoology and they can get a series of worksheets. Worksheets or connection with no connection whatsoever to your teacher, or having a connection to your teacher, which is better. I think we'll all agree which is better. And then people got caught up with this choice thing. Choice, give us a choice. When possible. But the veneer of choice should not overlook, equity for other people. Again, but this is where we are. I feel like I'm saying the same thing over and over again, and I don't like to do that. Other people can do that, but we are where we are. Jenny writes, every kid should have access to their teachers as a minimum level of service from the district. This decision fails so many students. It does. It fails a lot of students, and this decision forces parents to make a decision as to something that you know is not a good choice for your kid educationally. Or having to deal with COVID. And I'll say it again. The most equitable decision that CPS could have made, and by equitable, I mean every student has the same access to the teacher, would be to remain 100% virtual for the rest of the school year. That is the best option across the board in terms of equity, and nobody can argue against that. And if they do, they're lying or they're ignorant as a motherfucker, period. There's no doubt about that. But they decided to do something else. And we are where we are. It is what it is. It is what it is. Hey, listen, brother J. Raj, I want to say thank you. Man, working on a lot of different projects, but all in that creative space, and working on a brand new sort of like relationship dating type of podcast that I think people will get into. And teamed up with Shanghai Imaging to make this happen. Shout out to Terrence at Shanghai Imaging. And did the first photo shoot with the host and also some folks, some models as well. And we were down at Copa. And I appreciate J. Raj for allowing us to use his establishment over the weekend to get that done. So you'll see and hear more about it real soon. I hope you'll get into it. Something different. But shout out to J. Raj. I appreciate the time and the space that he gave us over the weekend. Let me see. Akeem writes, is there fried chicken in that bag lunch? Jericho writes, the lady or the officer is 14 years old. Oh, I must have misspoke, Jerica. The officer involved in that Tennessee shooting is a 14-year veteran of the police force. If I misspoke, that's on me. Let me see. TNT writes 90% unvaccinated, 3 variants more contagious than the first, COVID. States opening up fully, no mask mandate, schools open 5 days a week in high school spread communities and after spring break travel. This is a recipe for an extended COVID stay of COVID. Brilliant, right? Like, if the school board wants to help COVID spread, they're doing the right thing. Bravo. Way to go. Somewhere COVID is like, give me a vote. Because I'm going to vote for these school board members because they are helping me. A little bit of COVID humor. That's it. Just a little bit. Sheila writes, first of all, can he go through her stuff like that? I believe so. Greg writes, why is the cop searching through her stuff? Did she consent? Keisha writes, oh, yeah, Keisha she said it straight, 14-year veteran. Let me go back here to the conversation with Mike Moroski. I want to make sure I get as many of your, Charlie Wimber writes, green tea is the best. Yes, it is. Organic green tea is the best. Get your organic green tea in. We're going to go over 10 a.m. a little bit. Why not? We start a little bit later. I know there's other shows on. We'll get to them in a second. Jay writes, where is that article, Nate? Which article, Jay? And I'll try to post a link inside the stream here. What do you think? Keisha writes, my kids have been home since March 2020 and will stay home as long as they need to. My kids will not be anyone's guinea pig. I know a lot of people like that. I respect it. I respect it 100%. El Grillo writes, I won't send mine back on the 31st. That is my choice. We'll find out. We'll find out. I think who voted for it? Carolyn Jones voted for it. So you got 2 black people on the school board. One, Carolyn Jones, voted for the plan on the 31st. The other, Pam Bowers, voted against it. Now, I'm not sure what their reasons are, but I hope to talk with them real soon so we can hear what their reasons are. Just if you want to know what the black people on the board are doing, that's what they're doing. I believe Ryan Messer, Carolyn Jones, Ben Lindy, and Melanie Bates all voted in favor of going back to on the 31st. And it's disappointing. It's disappointing. And I don't even know why Melanie Bates is on the school board. And I say that because she obviously has a lot of contempt for the families, the teachers, and in particular, Warner Hills. So why would you even want to be on the school board then? I mean, if you've got that kind of contempt for the people that you're supposed to serve, and again, if I ever get a chance to talk with Melanie Bates, I'm going to ask her this. Like, Melanie, why do you even want to be on the school board? It's clear that you don't really like the people that you serve. So why don't you just go on and do something else? Why even mess with it? Why even be involved in it? If it's that frustrating, if you got that level of disdain, why be there? You know what I'm saying? If it's me, I don't want to do something and serve people unless I really want to serve them. If I feel that way, I'm just going to move on and do something different. That's just how I look at it. To me, it seems like a waste of time. But it is what it is. It is what it is. We've got to deal with it and we've got to make the best out of it. Okay. I want you to make the best out of it. So I'm going to try to share as much information as I can so we can make the best decision possible. Okay. So we can make the best decision possible. All right. That's what it's all about. Making the best decision possible for you and your family. That's what I'm all about. Okay. We can keep beating up the school board members and all that kind of stuff, but that's not going to really get us anywhere. I think we know who is who and what is what. The decision that we have to make as family leaders of our family is how do we make what's the best decision? And then how do we do that in the safest way possible? And then down the line, as we get in October, November and things like that, we can start to talk about the political side. But that's months from now. You know what I'm saying? What is this? March? We got 5-6 months for all of that. 7 months. So Charles writes, Preach, Nathan, we live here. Yeah, I live here. I'm in Cincinnati. I'm not in the suburbs driving to Cincinnati. You know what I'm saying? These mofos kill me. Living out of the city, but you a talking head. You got a microphone and you talking about Cincinnati. I mean, it is what it is, but damn, it needs to be pointed out. You don't have no skin in the game. I'm not saying they don't care, but don't put me in the same vein as somebody that don't live in Cincinnati and somebody that don't have children to go to CPS. We are not in the same boat. We don't care the same. We're coming from two different perspectives. I care more because I'm invested, no doubt about it. Near the end of the show, my friends, but I want to make sure you're aware of this opportunity. My friends over at renewcommunitychurch.org, and that is their website. There's a link in today's description. They're doing something new for the calendar year 2021. It's called the Focus 2021 series. And I just want you to take a second and download this free ebook. Check it out. And while you're doing it, also get yourself signed up for 30 minutes of free coaching as well. Have you ever had a life coach? I never have. I've never had a life coach or a business coach. I've talked to people who have. I know that Tiffany Daniels, maybe about 3 weeks ago, she interviewed a business coach. I thought it was hella interesting on her podcast, Community Connector. You can check it out right now on Facebook. So I know these folks exist, and I think it could be something very valuable to you, depending on who you are. So don't wait. Get your spot today. Download your free 142-page ebook and also sign up for 30 minutes of free coaching. And there's a link in today's description. Check it out for yourself. Also, this Friday, that's Friday, March 19th, there's going to be a public swearing in and reception for Charlie Winburn. He's the first African-American Hamilton County treasurer. And he's going to come on the show real soon and talk about his plans as treasurer. So look for that real soon, okay? This is going to be a public swearing in. All the public is welcome. Consider this an invitation. It's going to be at Corinthian Baptist Church at 1920 Tennessee Avenue here in beautiful Cincinnati, Ohio. If you're looking for more information, call Zakiya Allen at 513-477-8098. Plenty of social distancing space will be in place for you so you can feel comfortable, and masks are required. They are required. They are required. Also, my friends over at PinnacleProtectionAgency.com are seeking to hire professional camera, DVR, and alarm installers. So if you're looking for maybe a different career, or if you have previous similar experience and you're thinking it might perfectly translate to this, give them a call this morning at 513-506-5010. Also, you might be looking for the services of Pinnacle Protection Agency. Potentially, maybe you want to put, you want to get a camera system for your home or for your office or for your business or for your garage or for your property. Give them a call this morning. To me, this is about peace of mind. And how much is peace of mind worth to you? If you had to put a dollar amount on the value of peace of mind, what would that be? 100,000? $1 million? 2 million? It's invaluable, folks. It's invaluable. And with technology these days, man, you can get a nice little setup, a smart setup where if somebody knocks on your door or triggers the alarm or triggers the bell, then you'll get a notification straight to your phone. That's what technology is these days, giving you another level of peace of mind. It is invaluable. So if you're looking for a alarm system and you've been thinking about it, well, talk with my friends over at PinnacleProtectionAgency.com at 513-506-5010. And when you do, let them know you heard about it on the Nathan Ivey Show. It means everything. With that, family, what are we, 10, 11? I got to make a move. Have an excellent rest of your day. We'll connect tomorrow morning bright and early at 7:30 a.m. We'll chop it up. Hopefully, I'll be back and better than ever. All right? Have a marvelous Monday, to use the words of Danita. Right? Have a marvelous Monday. Right? Get out, make sure you get your exercise in. You know, get it started, get that cash in, get to the bag, and we'll connect real soon. If you like to connect with me about the placement or sponsorship availability with this show or any of the podcast, oh, I'm getting a call from CPS.
To hear the message now, press 1 or stay on the line.
Would you like to hear?
To place this call on hold, press the pound key.
Hello. This is the Cincinnati Public Schools Transportation Department with a courtesy call to let you know our attendance ridership policy.
Oh, this be
Students
interesting.
that are not utilizing transportation services will be removed from the roster after 10 consecutive.
Okay, we'll talk about that later. CPS calling me. As I said before, I was so rudely interrupted. Of course, I didn't have the answer. If you're looking for sponsorship availability with this show or any of the shows that are part of the CDM network, you can hit me with a direct message. I am super, super, super available, and I will respond to you immediately, all right? Have an excellent rest of your day, family. I'm Nathan Ivy. Until next time, I'm out.